Today, the Murray River winds through dry landscapes, red cliffs, vineyards and mallee scrub. It is Australia's longest river and the lifeblood of southeastern Australia. But what if I told you that this river was not always a river? What if I told you that whales once swam above parts of Victoria? That sea urchins crawled across the seafloor where vineyards now stand? That millions of years ago, an arm of the ocean stretched hundreds of kilometres inland, flooding vast areas of South Australia, Victoria and New South Wales beneath a shallow sea. A sea so extensive that it left behind towering limestone cliffs, countless marine fossils, and evidence of an Australia that looked nothing like the continent we know today. This is the story of the Murray Sea. The Murray River is one of Australia's defining landscapes. Stretching for more than 2,500 kilometres, it winds through 3 states before finally reaching the Southern Ocean near Goolwa. Along its course, the river passes through floodplains, wetlands, vineyards and semi-arid landscapes that many Australians immediately recognise as quintessentially Australian. It feels ancient, permanent, as though it has always existed in its current form. Yet the landscape surrounding the Murray River preserves evidence of a radically different world. A world where the river did not exist. A world where much of southeastern Australia lay beneath the ocean. To understand that story, we need to travel back roughly 30 million years. At the time, Australia was already drifting northward after separating from Antarctica. Marsupials roamed the continent, eucalyptus forests were spreading, yet the Australia of the Oligocene would have looked unfamiliar to modern eyes. The climate was generally wetter, sea levels were higher, and the vast depression that geologists now call the Murray Basin occupied much of southeastern Australia. Today, the Murray Basin stretches across South Australia, Victoria and New South Wales. It is one of Australia's largest sedimentary basins and underlies much of the Murray-Darling region. 30 million years ago, this basin became the stage for one of the most remarkable marine incursions in Australian geological history. As global sea levels rose and the basin slowly subsided, waters from the Southern Ocean began advancing northward. The ocean crossed the coastline. It flooded low-lying regions. And over time, a shallow inland sea developed across enormous areas of southeastern Australia. Geologists refer to this body of water as the Murray Sea. Unlike the deep blue waters of the Southern Ocean today, the Murray Sea was generally shallow. In many places, it likely resembled a vast continental shelf environment, with sunlight penetrating all the way to the seafloor. This was not an isolated lake. It was connected directly to the ocean. Marine waters flowed freely into the basin, and with them came life. The Murray Sea quickly became home to a thriving marine ecosystem. Across its sea floor lived countless invertebrates. Shellfish buried themselves within the sediment. Sea urchins moved across sandy bottoms. Tiny plankton drifted through the water column. Marine organisms lived, reproduced, and died in enormous numbers. Over millions of years, their skeletal remains accumulated on the seafloor. Layer after layer of carbonate-rich sediments slowly built up across the basin. These sediments would eventually become the limestones that still dominate parts of the Murray Basin today. If you visit the Murray River cliffs near Morgan, Waikerie, Blanchetown or Munham, you are not simply looking at ordinary rock, you are looking at an ancient seafloor. Every layer represents material deposited beneath the waters of the Murray Sea. Every fossil shell once belonged to an organism living within this vanished marine world. The scale of this marine invasion is difficult to appreciate. Today, when people imagine southeastern Australia, they think of farmland, rivers and dry inland plains. Yet during the height of the Murray Sea, much of this landscape did not exist. Large parts of northwestern Victoria were underwater. Sections of South Australia and parts of southwestern New South Wales were also too. The coastline was located far inland compared with its present position. If a traveller from the modern world could have visited the Murray Basin 20 million years ago, they would not have found a river valley. They would have found a shallow sea stretching toward the horizon. The Murray Sea was also part of a much larger environmental story. At the time, southern Australia was developing one of the world's great cool water carbonate systems. When most people think of limestone formation, they imagine tropical coral reefs similar to those found in Queensland, but southern Australia followed a different path. The waters of the Murray Sea were generally cooler than tropical seas. Instead of vast coral reefs, many carbonate sediments were produced by organisms such as bryozoans, mollusks and other marine life adapted to cooler conditions. This makes the Murray Sea particularly important from a geological perspective. It preserves evidence of a marine environment that differs significantly from the tropical carbonate systems that dominate popular imagination. The sea continued to exist for millions of years. Generation after generation of marine organisms lived and died within its waters. Shell beds accumulated. Carbonate sediments thickened. New species evolved. The Murray Basin became one of Australia's richest fossil archives. Many of those fossils are still being discovered today. Researchers have spent more than a century studying the remarkable fossil record preserved within Murray Basin sediments. The cliffs exposed along the Murray River have yielded countless marine fossils, including sea urchins, mollusks, and other organisms that once inhabited the ancient sea. Each discovery adds another piece to the puzzle. Each fossil helps reconstruct a world that vanished millions of years ago. Yet the Murray Sea would not last forever. Far to the south, Antarctica was undergoing dramatic change. Ice sheets expanded, global climates cooled. The Earth entered a new phase of its climatic history. As more water became locked within Antarctic ice, global sea levels gradually declined. The effects were felt across the Murray Basin. The shallow sea that had occupied southeastern Australia for millions of years began retreating. The shoreline migrated southward. Areas that had once been submerged emerged from the water. Former seafloors became exposed landscapes. Marine environments gave way to coastal plains, estuaries, and river systems. The retreat was not instantaneous. It occurred over immense spans of geological time. To any organism living within the basin, the changes would have been imperceptibly slow, but over millions of years the transformation was profound. The Murray Sea was dying. By approximately 15 million years ago, much of the marine system had retreated from the basin. The era of the Murray Sea was drawing to a close. The ocean that had once flooded deep into southeastern Australia was withdrawing. In its place, a new landscape was beginning to emerge. Yet the disappearance of the sea did not erase its legacy. Far from it. The Murray Sea left fingerprints across the landscape that remain visible today. The towering cliffs along the Murray River are among the most obvious examples. Their pale colours reflect sediments deposited beneath ancient marine waters. Embedded within them are fossils that record entire ecosystems. Even the chemistry of the basin preserves evidence of its marine past. Ancient marine sediments contributed to the accumulation of salts that continue to influence parts of the Murray-Darling Basin today. The sea may be gone, but traces of its existence remain woven into the geology of southeastern Australia. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the Murray Sea is how completely it has vanished from public memory. Millions of people live within the Murray-Darling Basin. Millions more visit the Murray River every year. Yet few realise they are travelling across the floor of an ancient sea. Few realise that the cliffs rising above the river were once submerged beneath ocean water. And fewer still realise that some of Australia's most important fossil deposits were created within this forgotten marine environment. The Murray Sea transformed southeastern Australia. It deposited sediments hundreds of metres thick. It preserved a rich fossil record, and it helped shape the landscapes that would later guide the course of the Murray River itself. Without the Murray Sea, the region we know today would look very different. Yet despite its significance, the Murray Sea was only the first chapter in an even larger story. Because after the sea disappeared, another extraordinary body of water would emerge within the basin. Not an ocean, not a marine embayment, but a gigantic freshwater lake. A lake so vast that it would cover tens of thousands of square kilometres. A lake that would dominate southeastern Australia for nearly 2 million years. And a lake whose disappearance would help create the modern landscapes of the Murray-Darling Basin. That lake was Lake Bungunya, and its story begins where the Murray Sea ends. And we'll be covering that in the next video. So be sure to subscribe. I hope you found this as interesting as I did, and as always, thanks for watching. Before I end this video, I'd like to give a big shout out to my Patreon and YouTube members. Thank you so much to everyone that helps to support this channel.